So, I mentioned in my Remembrance of the Full Moon video that the Carian Regal Scepter is the most powerful staff in the game, aside from Lusant's staff, which raises the FP cost of every cast by a whopping 50%, thus making it the only staff whose effectiveness scales with mind, I guess? But people started coming out of the woodwork. Well, actually, about the Prince of Death's staff, saying that simply putting 80 levels into Int and Faith, it slaps the CRS down to 3rd place, no problem. And yes, I didn't even need to test that again, but I did, so that you can see. And with 80 levels in Intelligence and Faith, the Prince of Death does slap harder. But my original video was talking about a sorcerer build, not a faithful sorcery build, a wizard priest, a magic path, whatever you would call it. And just saying simply dump 73 levels of faith into a sorcerer should bring up some red flags for those of you paying attention. 73, by the way, because astrologer starts with 7 faith. So let's assume that you aren't dabbling in the dubious efficacy of dumping dozens of levels into a dump stat for your sorcerer, and instead, to do things scientifically, let's dump those levels into Dex. Now, you'll see that the sorcery scaling is still lower, but let's test it out on our mobs here and see if oh yeah, sure enough, the raw damage output is lower. But even this isn't the full picture, so we need to keep testing. Maybe if we dump the extra levels fully into Intelligence and then the rest into Dexterity. And that still doesn't scale as well as a pure AA scaling of the Prince of Death's staff. But there's one more thing that the pods people are not accounting for in this equation: Dexterity itself. You see, a pure sorcerer build wouldn't dump those levels into Faith, but would prefer to dump them into Dexterity, thus improving the casting time of every spell. Sure, the raw damage per hit wouldn't improve, but the damage per second? So, here's the troll getting taken down with an 80-80 Int Faith Pods build. No talismans, no special clothes, the only boost is the Great Rune that I've got popped, and both staves are fully maxed out as well. So you can see, even Swift Glintstone Shard takes him down in 5 seconds with 6 hits and 3,675 damage. Now, we bring in the 99 Intelligence, 67 Dex build, because the Astrologer starts with 12 Dex, and this build takes the same troll down in 4 seconds. And in those 4 seconds, he hits 7 times and does 3,887 damage, and manages to send out an 8th shard that would do even more damage, but the troll is dead already. Okay, but what about the 80-80 Int Dex build? Even here, he can miss 1 shot, but still take the troll down as quickly, dealing more damage per second, since he's able to shoot out 9 shards as quickly as the pods can shoot out 6. So which is more powerful, I ask you? Like everything in Elden Ring, it completely depends on your playstyle and build. If you're wanting to use big, slow spells that do a ton of damage, and maybe one-shot bosses, though 160 levels just for Int and Faith is purely endgame territory, the Pods is a great staff for you, but if you want to sling spells quickly and have far more flexibility in battle, as I said, the Carian Regal Scepter will most likely be more powerful in your hands. And the most powerful thing you can put in your hands for honest, no-fluff game guides and chill playthroughs is the subscribe button. And if you pair it with the like button, they scale far better. Top that off with a rung bell and you've got a YouTube build for the ages!